East blue, west blue, north blue, south blue. The various types of fish found in each of those seas are supposedly all found in the all blue. If a sea like that really exists, then it would be a true paradise for cooks like us. This is a statement that was said in chapter 56 of One Piece when we first find out about the all blue. However, based on recent events, and this is a controversial take, I don't think the all blue exists, at least as a sea. Let's get into it. If you've been around the block as long as I have, you've undoubtedly heard of the all blue theory. The all blue theory is fairly simple. It just states that at some point, the red line in its entirety would be destroyed. With that border removed, all the seas of the world would mix together, creating the all blue. Here's why I think that may not happen. Simply because from chapter 56 all the way up to Wano, we get no context of the red line exactly. However, what changes things completely is in chapter 1022, when Marco states that I heard rumors of a race that makes fire that used to inhabit the red line. You see, this is what changes things, because now we are giving context to the red line. It is no longer a large landmass that the elite of the world inhabit. The red line had inhabitants before them, which is an allegory to the story of Upper Yard. If you remember back in Kagura's day, when that half of Jaya was knocked up to the sky to make the Upper Yard, the inhabitants of Skypiea, being drawn to the bell of Shandora, flocked to that island because this island must be something sacred and holy, because upon its arrival, it chimed with its glorious bell, and it's a landmass made of earth. It's not made of cloud like everything in the surrounding area. So that is why the ruling deity of Skypiea went to claim the land from Kagura and the boys. However, this brings context to the red line. As with Upper Yard, we have a class of people who are invaders who are trying to take the land from someone else because the land itself is important. You see the red line being the largest landmass in the One Piece world, and the highest is coveted by these people, the celestial dragons, the five elders, etc., because the land itself means something. It is important. It's a standing power that separates the world. So in claiming that land, they would be above everybody else, further giving into the whole narrative of them being deities, of them being higher than everybody else. Upper Yard itself, it's not bad. The land isn't bad. The people who were trying to seize the land from its inhabitants were bad. And then, of course, as we see, they come to a mutual understanding. I think the same thing has happened with the red line, minus the mutual understanding part. I think the 20 kingdoms exterminated the Lunarians living on the red line and then made Mary Joas and Pangea Castle and all that. However, too, what's interesting about the red line in general is that we do see some context that it did have some inhabitants before the current residents moved in, because when you go up Reverse Mountain, which is an aspect of the red line, you see these weird gates, and these weird gates have inscriptions on them. They look like this weird dragonfish. I don't know what it is, and I don't think we've ever encountered a fish quite like this. But what's very interesting about it is that, seeing as how it is a weird draconic looking fish, it does make a lot of sense to how King felt a certain type of way about Kaido, because Kaido can become this giant dragon, and the dragon fruit itself is called the fish fruit model Azure Dragon. So he is a dragonfish. And the legend of the fish he is that a carp swims up a waterfall and becomes a dragon. What do you do when you go up Reverse Mountain? You're essentially going up a waterfall to become a great pirate, to become a metaphorical dragon. You're exiting your safe blue to go to the Grand Line, the Sea of Wonders and Danger. So I think that's the correlation here, and why King felt some type of way about Kaido and thought he was Joy Boy because he might have some sort of standing in their culture, or maybe that story is a thing in their culture. However, I digress. The point is that the Red Line itself is not the enemy. The Red Line itself is not bad. It's the current inhabitants who are bad. And even those current inhabitants, much like the people of Skypiea, are now given like a weird sort of context because, and this is spoilers if you haven't caught up, in chapter 1086, we see that even celestial dragons can be put to death and they can be punished. So even their residency in this land of wonder and opulence is kind of met with a tone of gray that we didn't really have context for up until now. So it's a whole bundle of things. So no one really is bad except for a very subsect of people. Those who have inherited the land from their forefathers inherently aren't evil. They just are ignorant and have a very small worldview of how the world works. However, it is those who actually know better and are the ones keeping up the rules and laws from their forefathers who drove the original inhabitants of the Red Line away. Those are the people who are evil. So in this case, 5 elders and Emu, potentially. Those people are the evil ones here. Not so much the celestial dragons, even though some are a bit more darker than others. Still, it's more so about the ones who are responsible for driving the Lunarians away, rather than those who inherited the land after all the driving away was done. Now that I've put the Red Line into context as it's not really an obstacle, but a former home of a displaced people, we need to talk about the All Blue. You may be asking, well, since the Red Line is going to be destroyed, how does the All Blue happen? Where is the All Blue? Funny thing about Sanji's dreams, they're always kind of bittersweet. And I think the leading example to set our expectations of what the All Blue possibly is going to be is by looking at Sanji's invisibility dream. We know that Sanji first finds out about the clear fruit during his studies as a child, as he's looking through all the Delph fruits within the Delph Fruit Encyclopedia. Much to his chagrin, when he actually finds the fruit, it is in the possession of someone with even raunchier and questionable intentions than him, in Absalom. Then when he actually gets the ability, when the ability is in hand, he gets it through the most unfavorable means possible because he gets invisibility through the power of GERMA's 66 raid suit. This raid suit, called Stealth Black, gives Sanji the ability to become invisible. However, based on this being GERMA tech and Sanji's terrible relationship with his family, he completely disowns the suit as this is not the man he wishes to be. He doesn't want to be simply a pawn of his father's ambitions. He wants to be his own man, and he wants to be a cook that Luffy and Zeph will be proud of, okay? This is also reflected even more harshly in Queen, as Queen uses Stealth Black to do some very raunchy things fueled by perversion, which even further off-puts Sanji from the idea of ever using GERMA tech again. Now, what does this say for the All Blue dream? I think the All Blue will actually be the GERMA Kingdom. What do I mean by this? So, in Sanji's second flashback, we see that the various ships that make up the GERMA Kingdom, the giant snails, can actually disperse and travel up and over the Red Line. This means that all the snail ships that make up the GERMA Kingdom can go anywhere in the One Piece world. Here's what I'm thinking. Even though we see that the GERMA Kingdom is now going under the operation of Neomads, somewhere in the story, Neomads is most likely going to fail once again, causing a dispersal. What I think is going to happen in the epilogue, presumably, or towards the end of the story, is that the GERMA Kingdom is going to be refigured into a moving restaurant. Not unlike the Baratier. That's what the two have in common. You have a floating sea restaurant, and then you have a floating sea kingdom. So what I think is going to happen is that, much like the Baratier, Sanji's influence is going to sink into the Germa kingdom, transforming the Germa kingdom into a giant restaurant that can then disperse and go to every corner of the world. This moving sea restaurant and all its components would be dubbed the All Blue, perhaps even bringing that food back to the main mothership to prepare new dishes and such, thus making that restaurant the All Blue, because it is a vessel that can go anywhere and combine foods from all seas, in accordance to doing what Sanji loves to do the most: feed people. So not only can you feed people, but you can potentially bring them new and delectable dishes they would not normally have access to because of the grand trip that it would take for them to go from one sea to the other. This comes with a caveat, of course, because he would have to go back to the German kingdom, but he's leaving it better than he found it, because now it is not a kingdom of dominance and oppression, but it is a kingdom of comfort and a kingdom of substance, as it would be tasked with feeding all the peoples of the world with its various ships. Now, in terms of the staff, here's the interesting part about the Germa siblings. It is said that all of them are emotionless. This is not true. I think they're all emotionally stunted. And the point presented in the Sanji flashback is the importance of food. Mostly the importance of not wasting food. This is brought up again during Whole Cake, in which one of the Germa boys throws a dish that's not to his liking at their chef. Sanji savors this food, eating it off the floor and complimenting the chef who made it. I think Sanji is going to teach his brothers and sister the importance of food and give them something to fill them emotionally, because I don't necessarily think, from how they've acted in the past, they've shown bouts of anger, they've shown bouts of pride towards Sanji, they've shown bouts of lust when Yanji sees Nami. So they aren't emotionless. Also, Reiju has the hots for Luffy, kind of. So they aren't emotionless. They are emotionally stunted. And I think with giving them something to live for other than being simply mindless foot soldiers to their father, they would heal and come around and actually really start to see what Sanji sees in the importance of cooking. What would be interesting is that during this supposed Neomance arc is if Vinsmoke Sanji beats his father, Vinsmoke Judge, in front of his siblings. Then his siblings swear loyalty to him, seeing that he has a strength and a resolve above their own because he was able to beat their father. However, then what Sanji would do would be to turn the German kingdom into a restaurant. This restaurant, however, would be left in the stead of Cosette. Cosette was the head chef that Niji threw the food at way back in the day. And then she would be the one to teach all the German siblings and the clones how to cook, turning the German kingdom into a full functioning restaurant. What's also very cool about this too is that they already have a giant staff built into the German kingdom, as they have many clone soldiers that could be used as waiters and just kitchen staff for the entire kingdom and its various mini restaurants that would be serving people around the world. To recap, the Red Line will not be destroyed. The Red Line itself is not bad. The Red Line is simply a victim of circumstance of the people who currently inhabit it. Number 2, Sanji will most likely, during the arc in which Neomats is most relevant, take control of the German kingdom and make it a kingdom of food and not a kingdom of war, turning all those ships into their individual restaurants that are able to transverse up and over the Red Line. Number 3, I think Sanji will really invest the ideals of cooking into his siblings, giving them something to live for, and thus maybe even narratively overriding any transgressions they have with being war machines into being accomplished chefs, filling them emotionally with the pride that Sanji already has with the love of cooking. That being said, thank you so much for watching and give me your thoughts. If you like stuff like this, please feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Pauly P Works. And if you like what you see, I would appreciate your subscription. Thank you so much. See you next time.